The Carol Burnett Show was, as far as I know, the only sketch comedy show named after and starring a woman. That woman, of course, was Carol Burnett. The only other actor on the show that was in every single episode, every single season, was comedian and actor Vicki Lawrence. Vicki Lawrence was so good and successful on the Carol Burnett Show that she got her own spin-off sitcom from a character she played sporadically in sketches. That character was, of course, Mama, and Mama's Family was a huge hit on CBS for 6 seasons. Now, comedian Vicki Lawrence was so successful that she found success in other avenues. One of those was music, but that was actually sort of an accident. Vicki's husband, Bobby Russell, had a song that was great, but he couldn't get anyone to record it because pop stars thought it was too country, and country stars thought it was too poppy in music tone and too dark in the lyrics. So Vicki said, you know what, Bobby, why don't you just let me record it? Me, a comedian and an actor. We'll just see how it goes. We've got the money, we've got the clout, we know studios. Let's see what happens if I record The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia. And what happened was, a comedian who had never ever recorded an album or a song before had a #1 hit. And that is what led to us having the Reba McEntire version and today's episode of Bubba Shot the Podcast. I am so excited. Thank you, Vicki Lawrence.
Bubba Shot the Podcast, and that's right.
Welcome to Bubba Shot the Podcast. Gentlemen, first, the facts. The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia is a Southern Gothic murder ballad written in 1972 by Bobby Russell, first recorded by his wife, as I've already mentioned, Vicki Lawrence. It went #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in that year and led to several other renditions of the song, none of which were hits except for our girl Reba McEntire's hit for her album For My Broken Heart in 1991. Her version, though, only peaked at #12 on the Hot Country Songs and on the Billboard didn't do as well. I'm going to start right there. Does that surprise you, gentlemen?
Yeah, I think I've actually said on a different episode of Bubba, just randomly, that I had just been like looking through songs that I knew that I wanted us to do. And of course, you know, I want to do a ton by Reba, and this is one of my favorite of her songs. And I saw that, and yeah, it absolutely went upside my head. I was like, how at one point were there 11 songs better than this? Because you know, it's really great. So yeah, that blew my mind.
Yeah, I didn't know. I knew that it was a cover, but I didn't know that whole backstory either.
Me either.
That's pretty wild. So Vicki Lawrence hadn't done any singing. She was just
certainly a triple threat.
Like right. Well, old school type entertainers can do it all, but like she hadn't put records out and shit. And her husband, a songwriter, had a song nobody else wanted, so he was like, "Hey, you just do it." And then it was a #1 hit and an iconic all-time jam. That's pretty goddamn wild.
Mm-hmm.
Could be wrong, but the way I read it, he wasn't like, "Hey, you just do it." She just did it.
Yeah.
She was like, "Baby, they keep telling you don't hit. I think you do hit." Now he was accomplished. Don't make it like out like he was desperate and she gave him this one shot. But as best I could tell from reading, no, she just like did it, and she got the Wrecking Crew to do it. Which, if you're not familiar with recording studio lore, the Wrecking Crew was the top group of musicians in LA at that time. They have like 400 Billboard hits between and among them because they were on everyone's album. So she went out and did it properly. I almost feel like it was like a gift to him or something, you know?
Yeah, I mean, she's badass. Like, I don't know why she wouldn't have thought she could just do something and make it hit, which clearly, you know, she did. But no, I had no idea.
Definitely depends on what kind of old boy he is, though. Like, you got this song, you're trying to give it to famous people. Cher almost said yes, then rejected it, and then your wife's like, "I'll just do it."
Cher, that it's great to have that wife to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, dude, I'm now thinking about Cher doing this. That would have banged, son.
Tushar, is this song? Were you familiar with it?
I was not.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm obviously familiar with Reba McEntire, but this song specifically I'm not. And we'll get into it, but this lady that you have freeze framed on freaks the shit out of me.
Buddy, I had forgotten about the video and how
Haunted.
forceful it was.
Yeah.
With, I mean, she's literally reading lines over the
I know.
song.
It did not hit for me.
I was about to say, okay. I didn't know when we were going to get into the video. I didn't recall this is like this song all timer for me. Reba McEntire's got two of my probably top 3 or 5 favorite covers of all time between this and Fancy. I fucking love this song, but I didn't remember the video at all, and also watched it in preparation for this. And they made a lot of wild choices that I do not agree with.
Me either.
Especially, like you said, it's a music video.
Yeah.
And they're doing lines over the song,
while the song's playing.
Some of the hiddenest parts of the I
have a few theories. We're gonna get into it. I'm gonna bring in our guest and get into the lyrics before we break this video apart too much further. So I have a list of friends, most of whom are musicians, who I want on the show, and I send them out, texts or whatever. I'm like, hey, you want to be on the show? Here's the songs we've already done. Because I've found if I don't do that, they request the ones we've already done. So I'm like, here's songs that we've thought about doing, and you want to talk about a quick reaction. When that list went out to Wade, Wade was like, "Not the Lights Went Out in Georgia. That's what I want. We're doing it." Welcome to Bubba Shut the Podcast. Wade Sapp, what's up, buddy?
Howdy. What's up, y'all?
Wade, first of all, let me say the cool, wild lighting you got going on makes you look like Reba McEntire in this video, and that hits for me.
This is an Elizabeth Cook lighting special I borrowed just for this purpose. So if it looks like I'm very beautiful with long, striking blonde hair, that's why.
So you're saying Elizabeth Cook uses filters, and that's not true. I've seen her in person. What's up, buddy? How you doing? You there in your workshop?
Yeah, this is the garage and where I get most of my thinking done. So this is a big thinker song. I wanted to be prepared.
Yeah, sure. You've been on the road a little bit. How's that been going?
It's been the road.
Yeah.
Did you do the Outlaw Cruise?
I sure did, man. I actually went to. It was awesome. I got to basically swim in the waters of Belize with Ray Benson, and I found a starfish while passing him a joint, and it was like
badass.
It was that big. I swear to God, man.
What a fucking moment that you had. Yeah, me and Andy were thinking
rad.
about doing that, but it was too expensive. I'm certain that you got paid to be there. Well, we appreciate it, man. The way we do things, we're going to dive right in on these lyrics and start breaking them down, and we'll kind of bounce around, so be prepared for that. But,
Cool.
folks out there listening, I always try to tell you guys the week before, get ready and watch the video. Go watch this video right now. If you have not watched it recently, it will help you in this episode. But I'm going to go over the lyrics for you. He was on his way home from Candletop. Been 2 weeks gone, and he thought he'd stop at Webb's and have him a drink before he went home to her. Andy Wolo said hello. He said, hi, what's new? And Wo said, sit down. I've got some bad news that's going to hurt. Said, I'm your best friend, and you know that's right. But your young bride ain't home tonight. And since you've been gone, she's been seeing that Amos boy, Seth. Now, he got mad and he saw red. And Andy said, boy, don't lose your head, because to tell you the truth, I've been with her myself. Goddamn. That's the night that the lights went out in Georgia. That's the night that they hung an innocent man. Don't trust your soul to no backwoods Southern lawyer, because the judge in the town's got bloodstain on his hands. We're going to pause right there. What a great fucking opening verse. What a phenomenal scene setting. Everything, even the way that they use the chorus, which is kind of the end of the story in some ways. I guess it's not really the end of the story. The foreshadowing. God damn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say, like, obviously I've loved every single song that we've done on this podcast, but I think it's inarguable that none of them have packed as much information into an opening verse as this one did. I mean, there's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, it's so much. And there's so many characters that you've got to grapple with all at one time. They even mentioned a place called Candletop. I love the specificity of that. And Webb's, which I guess is a bar. And then it's Andy Wolo. In the lyric sheet, it's W-O-L-O, as if it's a nickname, like his last name is Walensky. And you know how Southerners be. We ain't saying that, so we'll say Wolo.
Yes. Yeah.
So far, what we know is he's been cheated on. He just found out. His best friend told him and said, before you get too mad at Amos, I too have been fucking her.
Yeah.
Let's not blow this out of proportion here.
Right. And oh whoa here. He's got an interesting approach. I don't know if it's like the guilt is just too much. He's got to come clean or what, but he's like, well, I'll break the news by telling him she's fucking this other dude first.
Yeah.
You know.
Get him real good and mad.
Yeah, right. And then maybe I'll try to slip in there the other part. It's like yeah, it's a bold strategy. Seems like it didn't play out.
It's funny to think about him slipping it in, like you said. I mean, it seems like he just came out and said it, but it's funny to think about him like, oh, there's a whole list of them. John, like, and he reads his own name, like he don't even say me. Like Polo,
Randy,
Wade. I want to throw to you as a songwriter. We've packed so much into how important is the first lines of a country song?
It's the most important part.
Really,
and I'm glad you asked me that because that's. This song in particular, I've always been like, well, of course she's cheating on the motherfucker. He's at the bar. He's been gone for 2 weeks. But he's like, I better pull in and get a beer real quick.
Good point.
It's all there. First line.
It's all there. First line. I don't want to. Well, we'll get right into the video. Again, please, if you're listening right now, go and watch this fucking video. It opens with Reba as well. At this point, I guess we're not sure who, if we're playing along in real time. As
she looks like Chris Elliott from the Scary Movies.
She's an older lady. She's looking back, and she's telling us the story of this trial. And we know that she has some involvement, but we're not sure what yet. If you were watching this video for the first time in real time, you wouldn't yet know who she is.
So my main thing with this video is like, I feel like this song famously, like they literally had a whole thing in Reservoir Dogs about it. This song famously has a lot of information going on.
Exposition out the ass.
There's like a lot of story in this 4-minute long song that you got to pay attention to follow. So then to add on extra spoken lines of dialogue that play simultaneously with the lyrics.
Like if you're going to pause
video is like, that's just a wild choice, man. And I know what this song is about, and I had trouble following this video because of that. Like, it's just way too much.
2 or 3 extra parts of the story that are in the song.
They added shit.
Yeah. I would also like to point out that for the past like 4 weeks, we have been like, man, I'll tell you what, they just don't make
out of order. So,
well, whatever. But for a lot of this podcast, we've talked about how wild it is that they just don't. Some of these country songs ain't got videos to it, and then we finally get to one that does, and we're like, well, this fucking sucks. You know, like we finally got what we wanted.
All right, so I have a theory on that. This is 1991 when this song came out. I was trying to figure out when the video came out. I can't find like concrete evidence, but it's seemingly a bit later. I think Reba's recognizing as a young performer the value of a music video that others are kind of poo-pooing in the 90s in country music, A, and B, making her play here to be an actor. Now, I think Reba was good in sitcoms. She is horrific in this fucking music video. This is some of the worst acting I've ever fucking seen.
I also wondered if it had something to do with Reba also having ambitions as an actor as well. But I think I feel like this video is it's overly ambitious. Like
it's just too much.
Right.
It's almost like a young diva getting everything she wants who's trying to prove she's a starlet.
It wasn't lazy or there was no budget or they just shit something out or whatever. It was the opposite. It's overdone, overproduced, overambitious, and it's way too much and it just don't work. The song fucking rules, but the video I thought was a pretty big misfire.
Yeah. If they'd just made if they'd been like, all right, we're doing a special here, and they'd made this video 10 minutes long, and they'd done all this stuff, but they had paused the song, done this, and then gone back to it. It's to me, I still would have been like, well, the song itself is good enough to not do this, but that would have been way better. But like you said, and I've got sensory overload issues as it is, but I almost had to stop watching this shit. I was just like, dude, I can't. Everything's coming at me too quick.
That's interesting you talk about sensory specifically, and you were talking about the budget, Trey. I can remember as a kid, this particular, this scared me.
Mm-hmm.
Like seeing this video and seeing these images, the black and white and the dark, Reba did a pretty good job when she wasn't talking as a young potential actor. It's when she's the old lady delivering the lines that she needed some work. And she did improve. I think Reba did a great job on her sitcom.
For sure.
But I think, you're right, they overdid it. I don't like the video, but specifically the tone of it, the budget, whatever you want to say, like how good it looked, that was effective. This was a memorable song to me.
Yeah, but her as Meemaw Pennywise just ain't it.
Yeah. Miss Have Some Ham. That joke was for 8 people.
Who was the mom in Poltergeist? What was her name?
That lady that talks real funny? Or no, she's the neighbor.
That's what that image reminds me of.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the lyrics real quick.
Quick question. To the last verse, that's the night they hung an innocent man.
That's a chorus. That's why I read it.
Right. I guess I don't understand the complete story yet, because to Trey's point, when I was watching the video, it's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, the video's distracting from the actual song.
Well, so Tushar, you weren't familiar with this song. Was your introduction to it watching the video?
I actually oddly started the video without audio, and I couldn't get my headphones hidden. And like, the first 30 seconds are wild in this video without audio.
Because
they are
if that's the case, dude, I'm sure you don't have a fucking clue what's going on.
I don't know what's going on, man.
That don't
Who
surprise
are they
me
hanging
at all.
here? What's happening?
All right, well, you will find out then as we read these lyrics. That's great. We'll have some real-time reaction. I guess before I move on, let's go back to some of these lyrics, though, and let's talk about them from a craft standpoint. And we'll bring Wade in on that. I really love I already talked about how I love Wolo, that they just give him a nickname. It's a very country music song. I can't believe some people said it wasn't country enough. I can understand Cher being worried that it's too country. I don't know if Cher can get away with saying Andy Wolo and boy, sit down, let me tell you what. You know what I mean?
Boy, sit down, let me tell you what.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you, Drew. When you said that earlier, I found it surprising that some people are like, oh, this ain't country enough. And I was like, is it just because I've always known and loved the Reba version? Because I don't hear that. But like murder ballads and all that stuff, long, rich tradition. And like you said, there's a lot of little fucking the small town sheriff and the southern lawyer and all. There's a lot of tropes in here that I feel like are very super fucking southern,
well, it was the
southern / country, you know?
Yeah. It was a music thing because it was recorded in LA by the Demolition Team. You know, it was not a country record when Vicki Lawrence recorded it. And I don't know, Wade, like, would that be much of a problem now? Or do you think that's just like an excuse? Like, I feel like now, if you got a good song, most people in Nashville are like, I can make it country.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk about what's going on in Nashville right now, but I don't know. I'm still kind of laughing about you calling it the Demolition.
I know.
Oh, the Wrecking Crew. My bad.
That's awesome.
The Demolition thing.
No, that's who made the fucking video.
So I think it's more the chorus than anything, because it's very like power ballady, and at that point, when Vicki recorded it, there was not a lot of that kind of pageantry happening in country. I don't believe, not to my knowledge anyway.
That makes sense. And y'all see, that music is, I would call it sweeping. Da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. It sounds big. All right, let's get back to these lyrics then. Tushar, I'll go slow, not because you're dumb, but because you haven't heard this song. You've been listening to it without your headphones. Andy got scared and left the bar, walking on home because he didn't live far. You see, Andy didn't have many friends, and he just lost him one. Brother thought his wife must have left town, so he went home and finally found the only thing Daddy had left him, and that was a gun. Been there.
Mm-hmm.
He went off to Andy's house. So Andy left the bar and left Brother, whose name we don't know. And he's upset with himself. He's walking home, and Brother leaves the bar and goes home and finds his gun. Then Brother went off to Andy's house, slipping through the backwoods, quiet as a mouse, came upon some tracks too small for Andy to make. He looked through the screen at the back porch door, and he saw Andy lying on the floor in a puddle of blood, and he started to shake. Now, this verse ain't over. This is a long verse. The Georgia patrol was making their rounds, so he fired a shot just to flag them down, and a big-bellied sheriff grabbed his gun and said, "Why'd you do it?" The judge said guilty. We've already skipped all the pageantry. The judge said guilty on a make-believe trial, slapped the sheriff on the back with a smile, and said, "Supper's waiting at home, and I got to get to it." That's the night that the lights went out in Georgia. That's the night that they hung an innocent man. Well, don't trust your soul to no backwoods Southern lawyer, because the judge in the town's got blood stains on his hands.
I love thinking about the sheriff listening to this song being like, you didn't have enough words. You had to throw in big bellied there. Like, you know what I mean? Like goddamn, man.
And also, what was I supposed to think? I come upon this dude. He had a gun. He was like, "Hey, that guy that was fucking my wife is dead over there.
Yeah.
I didn't do it."
And you're going to fat shame me.
Yeah, brother wasn't, thinking ahead too awful much, I feel like. I mean, I don't know. Back in this era in the South, you probably could fire a gun just to say, "Hey, what's up?" Like it was just a common salute, even to the cops. You see the cops want to get their attention, you just pop off a few rounds. And
I mean,
like,
not for nothing.
Something? What's going
Terry,
on over there?
what's up?
Not for nothing. I hear gunshots all the time now and don't think anything about it.
You're right. But if a dude fires a gun off and you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
he must need something."
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Oh, hey, sorry, sorry, Terry. Wasn't paying attention.
That, my bad. Yeah, right. I'll be right there. And then you get up there and the dude is standing by a gunshot corpse. Then, you're going to draw some conclusions for sure. I got a bunch of questions on this part, mostly for Drew, but I don't know what else anybody else wants to say before we get bogged down in that part.
Yeah, before you ask me, I'll ask Wade. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here. I think this song is incredible. If I have to pick anything apart, if I have to be anything as far as a critic and say anything negative about it, this verse is just taking me on such a long ride. It almost feels like they packed, and Trey, you alluded to it with, in movies, they even talk about how much exposition is in this song. It's impressive how much they fit in. I don't know, Wade, defend the song or agree with me. What do you think about the amount of exposition and how far we go in one verse here?
I love it. I love detail, and I think it's done really eloquently with simple lyrics. I love the part where it's like supper's waiting and I got to get to it. Like the dinner was more important than this man's rest of his life.
Hell yeah.
Which
that's my favorite line.
Yeah, it's definitely the case in the justice system. In most cases, unless you have a shitload of money.
Yeah.
So they're putting a lot in here. That's an accurate statement.
Yeah, I mean, it does work. I'm not going to lie. It's just a lot. And I think it's definitely one of those songs, and I'll throw it to you too, Char. I know it. So I can't remember what it was like the first time.
Right.
But like, this is an overwhelming amount of information.
This is a lot, man. This is what I felt during Beowulf in 5th grade. What is going on here?
I was going to say Canterbury Tales, but yeah, that tracks too.
And it feels like the opening scene of Shawshank, Is that a thing that's in the
yes where he finds his wife and his lover, but he didn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, if just reading through this, the jumps it makes in time, and it kind of goes from this super serious thing to the big-bellied sheriff, almost like a loose. The song does such a good job in balancing how serious the story is with just kind of like, he grabbed his gun. Why'd you do it? He moved on to eat dinner. It was almost like it's a very hard to pull off.
Okay.
Changing gears here.
I would say that that's what makes it Southern Gothic. Right. And I would say that is something that our area of the country, well, I don't know if it's a geographic fact, that genre, both in literature and in music and other forms of art, we just do pull that off better than most other forms of Western art. Just pulling off the dark with the flip. We state it matter-of-factly, and literature has more examples that I can personally think of than anything else. But I think that's our gift, and it hits for me.
Yeah, y'all do dark well, ironically.
All right, so Okay, first of all, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. So none of the answers to these questions impact my enjoyment of the song, which I love. But I'm wondering, Drew, you was a lawyer, public defender, all that. This is way back in the day. Tushar mentioned the jumps in time and whatnot, but it's the night the lights went out in Georgia. She mentions, skipping ahead a tiny bit, a little bit later, that they hung her brother before she could say anything about it. The judge, guilty on a make-believe trial, said, I got to get home. Supper's waiting on me and I got to get to it and all that. And it's like, how quickly did all this come together? Like literally pretty amazing. Is this effectively a lynching, situation? And either way, I know that, of course, South did all kinds of that. But if you're talking about like, if these people are white, which I've always assumed, like, did that type of shit go down in the small town South way back in the day? Also, like this is the type of thing that could and did happen. They just find somebody. Well, he clearly did it. Well, hang his ass. Beans are getting cold.
Sure.
Like,
as far as I know,
is that what happens in this song?
See, I've struggled with that myself. And if I'm honest with you, I have a few theories. Like, I can talk about this from the perspective of like thinking about this songwriter, or we can do that thing where we only do what's inside the song and kind of go from there. Well, this is how it had to have gone down. I'll start with that. Lynchings did happen, but we're not describing a lynching here. This was absolutely approved by the powers who decide in this particular situation whether or not you get guilty or death or whatever. You know what I mean? This was official. It might have been hurried.
It's a white lynching.
Sure. But like to your question, yes, they did lynch white people for murder and stuff like that way back in the day. We don't know what era this is set, but inside the song, we have allusions to it not being a lynching, even if it was effectively a lynching, which is that there was some sort of trial. He had a lawyer that he trusted his soul to, and he should not have done that.
Right.
So I'm going to get outside the song and talk about the songwriter in just a minute, but inside the song, for me, my theory with just working with the lyrics, and we've kind of skipped ahead to the third verse, I think the line, they hung my brother before I could say, is not a literal before I could actually get the words out. It is before I could
make an
process what I've done, process what's happening, and process that this maybe I've always assumed perhaps the sister thought he was going to get a not guilty, thinking he would not get a sham trial. And then he got a sham trial and she regrets it. That's because a stretch.
I feel like that one question, and I wonder what Wade thinks about it too, changes a lot about the sister in this song, in my opinion. Like if it was more like a lynching, it's like they caught him body, smoking gun, literally calls the fucking judge. This is what happened. It's like, well, string his ass up because this is fucking old school South or whatever. And that happens. And the sister finds out later that all that happened. And that's a very different story than if she murders this guy to avenge her brother's honor, and then her brother gets arrested and she knows that, and they sit in the town together for any amount of time, and she, and then eventually he gets hanged.
Like long black veil.
Just lives with it that way. Those are two very different things in my opinion. So I don't know. Wade, what do you think about it?
About Drew's perspective?
The timeline of like how quickly he was hanged by these people.
Well, if he's found guilty, then I think that makes pretty good sense as a songwriter, just because you're trying to fit a lot into a verse.
So you think it's a time jump situation? There was a trial, however much of a sham trial.
Yeah, it's just place over the course of. Yeah, it's an assumed turn of events.
And I think you can also, the fact that the judge said guilty, don't overread into that, because in a jury trial, the judge still reads the verdict in some jurisdictions. And but it's also possible that this was meant to be written about a time where this particular songwriter thought, and that's just how it goes in the South in 1910, and maybe it did in 1910.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I believe that. I mean, gosh, when did hanging stop in Georgia?
I think last week.
Corporate capital punishment.
They took a break for the spring.
Yeah, no shit.
Anybody have any competing thoughts, theories, questions related to that?
I have one not related to that. No, I have.
Well, go ahead
about this Just about the lawyer, because he doesn't really get mentioned anywhere but the chorus, and he's, don't trust your soul to him. I wonder if she was fucking the lawyer too. And he's like,
Okay.
if he's in jail, then not a problem.
I'm glad you brought that up, because do you wonder that simply because the video not just implies, explicitly states that she was fucking the judge.
The judge, yeah.
Oh.
See, right. Well, that's another thing about the video. They add additional information to the story of this already complex song and then present it simultaneously with the existing information from the song itself. Gotcha. But yeah, they said she was fucking the judge, and that's why he hung the guy.
That for me is like, we've talked about this when we were making shows before, where you talk about a character you love to watch but you'd hate to live with. If I was making this video, I would be so against that. Like, this is insane. It's already a convoluted story. But now, watching this 20 years later, it hits for me that they have muddied the waters, so we have more to talk about and to wonder what's going on here. They made her even more of a whore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hard to do.
I was about to say, goddamn,
double down on the whore. It makes sense, man.
She sure was a whore.
Yeah, it was Amos, Wolo, the old ass judge. Yeah, and like, you see the judge in the video, so it's not like an interpretation thing. It's like, as a person telling a story, you're telling me this is a guy she was fucking. He's just an old gross guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's just wild to me. They've just really gone. They jumped the shark at this video, in my opinion.
Whores often fuck old gross dudes. I mean, and thank God for them. You know what I mean?
We're not there. Well, especially like the judge in a small town. He got the
power.
Judge in every small town is rich by small town standards and also powerful. So,
well, as somebody who knows a lot of old small town judges, they do probably fuck whores, but not ones that look like the lady in this video.
Sure. There's another thing they do in the video, which I'll wait for because we're not to that part of the lyrics yet, but it's not only adding something, it's adding something that I feel like is almost contradictory. But anyway, go ahead.
All right. So before we move on, let's circle back to some of this stuff. So just so we're clear, this guy's left his house, slipped through the woods. He's going to murder Andy. He's got a gun in his hand. When he gets there, Andy's already dead, lying on the floor. He sees a cop car. So he shoots his gun to get their attention. And then the sheriff sees what's going on and is like, you clearly did this. Why? And he's fat for no reason. The judge says guilty on a make-believe trial. There was a trial of some sort, or maybe the writer is saying there was no trial, but we pretended that there was. Slaps the sheriff on the back with a smile and said, supper's waiting at home and I got to get to it. Now that is one thing that bothers me about the video, like where I said if I was making it. I think that's a great line. You brought it up earlier, Wade. It's my favorite line in the song because it is a very great reflection of good old boy justice, where it's like my life is so much more important. Even the minute details of it, like getting the supper on time, is so much more important than this person because I know they're guilty. So why would I give a fuck that I'm just going to rush this and get home for supper? And then the video makes it about sex, and he was also fucking this woman. And as far as giving us fodder to talk about, that's funny to me. But as far as like the song itself, it kind of bothers me because I think this is one of the coolest parts of the song. And to me, the video ruined it a little bit.
Yeah, he don't need any extra motivation to be a piece of shit, this small town judge.
Sheriff told him he did it. Fuck him.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not like Texas justice back then. Like that did go down where they were like, well, he was there. There's a witness. Boom. Fuck it. Why do paperwork? Everybody's better off.
I'm glad you said that. I meant to bring that up earlier. There definitely was a time where this was legal to do it this way, but that would more be, generally speaking, in the time of like marshals. Like part of the reason it was legal is because where you were at didn't really have a court because it wasn't even a fucking state. You know what I mean? So I had thought of that earlier, but I don't think that's what it is. But anyway, I don't want to get too far into the weeds. I'm just saying that that's my favorite part of it is the kind of like, sometimes the justice system does this to poor people. And remember, the only thing this guy's daddy left him was a gun.
Mm-hmm.
You ready to move on? Cool. All right, last verse. Well, they hung my brother before I could say the tracks he saw while on his way to Andy's house that and back that night were mine. And his cheating wife had never left town. That's one body that'll never be found. You see little sister don't miss when she aims her gun. That's the night the lights went out in Georgia. That's the night that they hung an innocent man. Well, don't trust your soul to no backwoods Southern lawyer, because the judge in the town's got bloodstains on his hand. First of all, let me say, I love that the last verse is the shortest one. I love that
they ran out of shit to say. Goddamn.
Well, they only had one more thing to say. Little sister did this, and then I really love the line about, she don't miss when she aims her gun. But as far as the story goes, what a twist. You like a song with a twist, Wade?
I love a song with a twist. I also have a theory about that I just came up with, and I think that Georgia is the name of the wife.
Oh,
all right, that's great. I've never heard that
awesome.
before. That's,
so
that's my headcanon now. I don't give a shit if it was intended or not. I'm going with that.
Boom.
I love that.
Rad. Yeah.
That is rad.
Then it's always lurking the whole song, that she also killed the wife.
Yeah.
And that's expert songwriting. That doesn't get better,
Especially if you don't reveal it, you just take that with you,
Yeah. Did they mention Georgia anywhere but the chorus? Like this as a geographical, just says Southern.
No, I mean, there was a whole bunch of stuff about small town stuff, but I mean, that could be anywhere,
Yeah.
The only other possible theory, it's got to be the state, the wife, or I guess it could be the sister. Her own lights went out because they hung her brother. Because it does feel like it happened on the same night, right? The night the lights went out in Georgia, there was the same nights that they hung an innocent man.
Right.
I did find reference to, but to me, this doesn't go against what you're saying. This would make it even cooler because it would be a double entendre.
Right.
When you do the electric chair back then, it would make the town's lights flicker. I've seen reference to that in some movies.
That's what I've always thought. No, but see that I'm glad Drew brought that up, because that's in my brain. I've always just been like, that's like, in Shawshank that happens, it flickers or whatever. I was like, that's what it was. But then it's like, they hung in those, so it wouldn't have been the electric chair. So now Wade's theory actually holds more water, because other than that, it's only metaphorically.
Right.
It also would mean that it all did happen in one night, I think, if that, because like you're talking about, which again, I'm like for that interpretation anyway, but I see how it could be interpreted in either direction. But what I was saying about the video, so like the song starts, they hung my brother before I could say the tracks he found that day to Andy's house and back that night were mine. To me, that explicitly states she had gone there, shot Andy, and left before the brother shows up, right? And so he don't know that it was her. He has no idea it was her. Well, in the video, they have her there with the brother.
Get out of there.
And he's like, and they make it him making a choice to take the fall for her. He's like, get out of here. I can't let you go down for this. And it's like, that ain't in the song. And I feel like it's like addressing that thing I was saying earlier about her letting it happen. They added a thing in the video where it's like, this is why she let it happen, by the way. Her brother demanded it. But that's not in the song, and it's just another weird thing they added to the video. It makes the whole thing confusing. But yeah, I don't know.
And I dislike that. I dislike
Me too.
That
I don't like it either.
That. I didn't like that they added the judge, other than as fodder for us to talk about, because it's funny to me. They added one more thing that I did kind of like, which is that she killed them both because she was also sleeping with her husband.
You're right. They did. Yes, they also added that. That's true.
Which, again, they have just hoarded this
really
hoard.
I'm telling you what, buddy.
Half the town dead now.
Because, everybody she fucked went down.
Yeah.
Or was involved in hiding this. Let me hear from some other folks. How do y'all feel about what the video added? Like, against, for some, against some?
I'd have to watch it again, but first off, I feel really I hate that this was Tushar's, first time ever experiencing this song, because there's almost no way he can put that fucking genie back in the bottle. But to me, it's just again, I love the idea of, hey, we've got a music video, let's take some artistic license and do some other stuff. But the putting it on top of everything is just not good. And it just, Just don't do that. The lyrics are great. Have all this there, but don't have nobody talking, and it'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
Wade, what do you think? It's added at least 3 things we've covered to the story, which is that the judge was sleeping with her. She was also sleeping with the sister's fiance or husband, one, I don't remember. And he saw his sister there and told her to leave. None of that's in the song. How do you feel about those things together or individually?
I think that's unnecessary, as in a word. I got to be honest. I haven't seen this video since I was like drunk about maybe a year ago, and I got a digital antenna so I could pick up Liz's fishing show. And there's a channel here in Nashville called Heartland, and it's all 90s music videos constantly. It's very, very badass. So I haven't seen this video in about a year. But all of this makes total sense.
It really, really, really hits for me, the country song you just wrote for us, where in order to watch your partner's fishing show, you have put up an antenna on your house and are watching it illegally. Indian Outlaw, what do you think?
I'm skimming through the video right now. I'm looking for a big-bellied cop. Don't see him.
Yeah.
Mad as hell.
Missed
What the hell
opportunity.
is that?
Fuck what they added. What about what they left out?
Yeah, what they left out, man.
Yeah, they got a big old gully neck judge. He's got like 3 chins, but they didn't put a cop in there. It's like the judge was the fat cop and the judge all in one character.
Yeah, I mean, this video gave me anxiety, and I'm a pretty calm person overall, but I mean, there's for sure no Bollywood equivalent of this song. Like, I don't even, although it does pack a epic tale. What would be? Is there any rap equivalent?
There's a lot of rap songs about whores deserving to die, so probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been sitting here trying to think of it, and the only one I could think of is the one I already used recently. It's more applicable to this song than the other one, and it's Undying Love by Nas. It's way more directly related to this than to Independence Day. Yeah, because it's a song about a guy who finds his wife cheating on him and kills everybody. It ain't his sister that does it. It's just him. But, yeah. And it's very much a story song, and it's got a twist at the end also, and it's real fucked up and dark and all that. So that's the best thing I can think of, even though I've already used it before.
Saw Nas last week. Shout out to Nas. If you're watching, buddy, come on the podcast anytime. That was a great concert.
You saw Nas?
Yeah.
I'll bet that was awesome.
It was awesome. He was great. Okay. What was I going to ask? Oh, I do have one more thing that they added that's not significant, but it just was funny to me. So maybe I'll get to that real quick before we start our final parts and wrap ups. Here we go. I can't make this picture not have the next video part in it. I tried a few times, but at the very end, so the premise of the video, which we have not covered, is that little sister is recounting this tale to a newsman. And one thing I did notice is she tells him to sit down right before the lyric in the song has the guy sit down. That was the only time the music video made any sense to me. But she has him sit down. She recounts this story to him. And then at the end of the video, we see that he writes this story. And I just love that whoever's job it was in the art department to make this newspaper, it was like, all right, we're going to put this on the cover, but we got to have these other stories in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Licensing procedure, telephone service, gas
Metal
hike.
detectors.
Yeah. The gas hike faces stiff opposition. Even back then, they thought politicians could control gas prices. That's amazing.
Yeah, that ain't going nowhere.
Where's Sunnertown?
That's what I was about to ask. I'm glad you brought that up. I don't know.
I don't know of a Summertown, Georgia.
There's a Summertown, Tennessee, but it's down around where Katie's from. But it's nothing.
Is that SUME? I'm on my phone, so
you're right.
It's SUME. It's one M. The Summertown, Tennessee has two
M's. You're right. That's
and
true.
so does the Summertown, Georgia.
Okay, so there is a Summertown, Georgia with two M's, is what you're saying.
My other question about this, just to see if it ties in with the song any less, is what's the date on there?
I can't quite zoom in on it.
Oh wait,
it looks like either 84 or 94.
March.
Can't be 94 unless they said it in the future, which would have been a hilarious choice for them to make to add to the number of other choices. You're like, this is 4 years in the future. Why? Because we're doing stuff, man. We got
We're out here making art.
we're really getting with it's art. Yeah.
It's
Put
real
art
hard
in
to
the
see.
future.
What I will say is it's not the 70s or the 60s as best I could tell. It doesn't talk about how much they hate black people on the front of the paper for one instance. So I think that it's the 80s. 40-year-old murder, it happens in the 40s. Now, again, we're getting this from the music video, not from the song, but it's so hard to imagine a sham trial being able to happen in the 40s. Although, let me not misspeak. So there's a famous case in the United States that cemented your right to an attorney, and it's called Gideon versus the United States. Gideon didn't happen till, I want to say, late 50s, early 60s. So I guess as I'm thinking through this, going back to your first question to me, Trey, maybe it is possible that in the 40s in a small town in America, you could just do this and get away with it, and you would have no recourse to appeal unless you had money because your lawyer sucking didn't matter. And also you didn't even have a right to a lawyer anyway. That was added.
I would say if it was stated that the characters in this song are black, it really wouldn't even be a question. Like,
Right.
You honestly wouldn't think anything about it in the 40s in Georgia that something like that happened.
You're
It's
right.
literally just because it's written by a white guy and it's always been sang by white people. So you always, and it's a country song, you always assume the characters in it are white. And you're like, would they really do something like that?
Well, it was
You know,
more,
but-
for me, it was always more like, how could they? But the more I'm thinking about it,
Gideon
They
V.
could have.
Gideon V. Wainwright was that decision, and it was in 1963.
yeah, and I think his case started in the late 50s. He appealed by saying that his right to a fair trial, which is constitutionally protected, meant that he should have a right to a lawyer. So a lot of people think that the Constitution says you have a right to a lawyer. It doesn't. The Supreme Court said that because it says you have the right to a fair trial, we have to give you a lawyer if you can't afford one. But for the better part of 200 years, America was like, good luck.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you've convinced me, all of you, but you specifically, Trey, that the sister is a lot more innocent in terms of she couldn't confess because it was over with before she had a chance. Her brother was dead before she had a chance to even know. But see, that makes me even angrier about the video, them adding that, get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I think she left and was like the next morning found out that, more people died than she thought.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's mostly because of just that. And I know that the actual night that it happened could have been weeks or months later. I'm aware of that, but I just kind of always interpreted it this way, despite knowing that it was like, weird or wild, however you want to put it, that it all went down in one night. And, that's why. But yeah, I always kind of internalized it that way for whatever reason.
I also want to add how sharp you, Wade, are, and the songwriter, and everyone who interpreted it properly, compared to whoever made this music video. Like the idea that you have to give this judge this fucked up reason to be this way just belies that old American. I watch Law and Order, and
Absolutely.
I think that it would never happen that way.
Right.
Early 90s.
Yeah.
The justice system always works.
Absolutely. They were like, a judge would never do something like that unless we
Pretty
justify
naive.
it somehow.
Great. Oh man, what a country. All right. So we're going with Nas because I have no other. We always compare him to rap songs, Wade, and then we sometimes compare him to Bollywood. I can't tell if that was a bit that went too far or if we like doing that. But Too Short says we have no Bollywood comparisons.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think it's just that he's dropped the ball every goddamn week. Is really what it is.
Well, I think it's that he's not that big of a Bollywood fan, and we just asked our Indian friend to speak on behalf of Indians.
I would say
Yeah,
that
right.
he has explicitly said as much to us.
Yeah.
pretty much.
I would say that we keep cutting him off.
Yet we keep doing the same thing week
No,
after
you
week,
know India stuff.
despite the fact that he has
Sure.
I would
explicitly
say
said that
we're
to
doing
us.
it right now. We keep interrupting each other so that he can't talk and tell us how he feels.
I thought I was.
Anyway,
muted.
Wade, what I wanted to ask you.
That's hilarious.
Go ahead, Tushar.
No, I'm not. I'm a white man.
Mm.
So I don't know nothing about Indian stuff. Now, this song specifically, there's so much. I don't know. Wait, I guess I have a question for you as a songwriter. How often? Because this song has characters that could be as deep or shallow as, I don't know what was in the songwriter's head, but it's one of those songs where each character could have a backstory, and then you just end up coming up with this piece of work. Like, I don't know how, like, is that something that you sense from this song, or is it this is an attack on the justice system and there's a plot twist at the end type of thing? Like, was there intent in this song, or because it's so open to interpretation, obviously by the video and by us?
Yeah, I think the best songs are open for interpretation, but also tell this is a very specific story with a lot of details. What was your specific question?
I guess, like, do you think the songwriter had a, like, I guess it's hard to get an assignment.
Oh, right.
Head.
No, I got you. I don't know. I don't think it was like a political message or some drive like that. I think it was just a matter of fact, and for the way that things truly were in the American South and that time.
Yeah,
and it's just sense. It's like it always was accepted as like, yeah, that's the way it is. When as a kid, even I thought that.
Yeah, things are broken. It is what it is. It's kind of a very kind of like a right-leaning thing. Government can't do shit kind of ideology, I feel. If you read into it, maybe.
Well, also, until it actually happens to you and your white family, I'm just saying, everybody's like, no, it's just that if you can't do the crime, don't do the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would never be in that position, and then you are, and then it's like, wait a minute, I think this is broken, but then they hang you before your sister can say shit.
Yep.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
I will say, as far as Mr. Russell goes, the only thing I could find as far as what he said about the song is that he didn't like it.
That's amazing. Perfect.
The dude who wrote it never liked it. Like, yeah, well, my wife recorded it. Goddamn. What do you think? Of course I don't like it.
Well, that apparently
is forever.
I got to hear it every day.
Well, that apparently is part of why she did it. That's what I was kind of joking about earlier. Is I don't know if it hit for him or not. He wouldn't like show people. So she went out and was trying to shop it to her famous friends. That's how it got in front of Cher, who thought she was going to do it, then changed her mind. And then, so anyway, that doesn't tell us anything about his intent, but it is funny that he doesn't like it.
It's like a spite song in some way. It's great.
Yeah. All right. I think it's probably time for a rating. I forgot to prime you, Wade. We rate everything on a scale of 1 to 3 Dale Earnhardts, and you can break it down by thirds. So you can give a song 2 2/3 Dale Earnhardts or whatever you feel. I'll let you process that. I won't make you go first. I'll go first. I'm giving it 3 Earnhardts. If I don't think about the video. If part of our rating is to include the video, it knocks it down to a 2 1/3 for me. This is one of the worst videos of all time, and it doesn't have to be. It looks great. The ideas, except for the extra ones, are so cool, but then they talk over it. Reba cannot act yet. Again, she learned how to, but this was early work. It was bad. I'm going 3 Earnhardts for the song, 1 Earnhardt for the video.
That's where I'm at too. 3 for the song, 1 for the video for sure. But just trying my best to forget that I ever saw that. I mean, it's a 3 out of 3, man. It's a banger. It packs a lot of information. It's dark. It's catchy. It's Broadway-esque. I love it.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, me too. Same rating, keeping it across the board. I agree with you guys. Definitely 3 for the song. Everything you said. I've always loved story songs, cinematic songs, murder ballads. I love all that shit. This is a great example of all those. One of my favorite covers of all time. Fucking love Reba's rendition. And also, I have a younger sister who I definitely could see killing some whore on my behalf. because she a little crazy. I said that to people before in describing my sister, like, oh, dude, she will the night the lights went out in Georgia, your ass so quick if you fuck with me. And people are usually like, I don't know what that means, but anyway, so
yeah, I don't know why, Bubby. They didn't have to make it where like she was fucking my man too. I'd have just shot her for you.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't it for Paige because
I'd have waited on the cops to show up though.
That's right. Yeah. But anyway, for all those reasons and more, I concur with the 3 out of 3 Earned Hearts for sure for the song.
Yeah,
less said about the video, the better.
To piggyback on that a little bit, you mentioned the story. You know, when we first conceived of this, I wanted this to be a storytelling song podcast, but I quickly realized it's more of a nostalgia podcast. There's too many great 90s country songs. But that said, when I first thought of it, this was at the top of my list. It's just such a great story. Go ahead and give us your rating, Tushar.
I'm not gonna have original thought here. I'll go 3 and 1 as well. I think the video is disorienting and weird, and actually somewhat entertaining if you take it out of like if you don't
give it that.
If you don't want to respect the song and just look at the video as like who the fuck worked on this thing and thought this was okay. But I'm
sure they listen to this podcast and we're gonna hear about it.
But the song itself, I mean, what crazy story. And I love how straight everyone in the story is a piece of shit. You know, like everyone's a villain in some way. And that's so hard to do.
Oh, yeah.
There's no winner. There's no like.
Yeah, because old boy went to kill him.
Right.
And like Wade pointed out astutely, he stopped at the bar. Motherfucker been gone 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah. And then his friends banging his wife, and then he's, you know, they're all complicit in being a piece of shit. And you still want to, yeah, it's fascinating. So it's hard to pull off in that sense. So yeah, three for the song for sure.
Wade?
Hey, I was going to say, it sounds like my hometown. I mean, it really is a matter of fact type of song. It's very much that. I'm going to go with the last time I saw the video and how good of a time I was having that whole night watching when I discovered Heartland Television. So 3, Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah! Head to toe legit, baby.
Oh, yeah.
How about that?
I took that picture with a Kodak disposable camera, and it was like the year he died. They took his car on tour and put it in parking lots and let rednecks take pictures of it.
They did the same thing with Lincoln, man.
Yeah.
It's only fair.
What's that tell you about Dale Earnhardt?
You goddamn right.
Exactly.
The intimidator and the emancipator, one and the same.
Right. Whole country had to grieve, baby.
Yeah. Who's done more to bring us together than those two figures?
That's right.
Inarguable.
Well, I appreciate everybody. Wade, before I let you go, I'll let you plug anything you want to plug. It'll be a few weeks before this comes out, but definitely plug your socials and generally tell people where they can find your music, which is great.
Thanks, man. It's at Wade Sapp, WADESAPP, or just go to wadesapp.com. There's a link to all that stuff. I think on TikTok, it's Wade Sapp TikTok, which I refuse to use, but my manager is insistent. So I have album coming out July 15th.
Woo!
There we go.
Yeah. First ever, that just made my whole. I want to throw up now. I'll be right back. But, yeah, I'm very excited. I made this record like 5 years ago, and it's hard for a po' boy to put out a record properly. So this is a miracle, and the first single comes out Friday. So,
well, that's amazing.
Congrats, man.
So, on where do you want people to listen to it? Because whenever this comes out, your single will already be out.
I just want them to listen to it. I don't care.
What's it called? Because, like I said, this will come out. You're not giving away anything secret. Okay. This will be out after it's already out.
Gotcha. The single comes out, like I said, Friday. It's called "Keep On Truckin'," and it's about my mom's second husband and driving down the road. He was a trucker, and he used to set me on his lap and let me steer the truck going like 80 as he was high on white crosses.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah,
they didn't work out
like that.
They didn't work out. Did he murder any horse? Don't answer that.
Not to my knowledge, but yeah, my mom damn near murdered him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, well that's great.
One interesting factoid about this song: can you play audio on this podcast?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Of a song?
Yeah, it's your song, right?
Cena.
Oh, I know. I was going to bring that up. I forgot to. Hell yeah. I thought you meant
That
yours.
is a cover by Pete Schofield and the Canadians of The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia, and they sampled it for John Cena's song.
Word.
Holy shit.
Corey, I meant to tell you that, and that's my bad. And thank you, Wade, for bringing it up. If you want to host this podcast, buddy, you can.
I don't know if you could. I don't know if you could see how fucking hype I got as soon as you started playing Cena.
It's John Cena!
Yeah,
That's
John
great.
Cena, Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia. It's double connected to, you know, the entertainment business, with, you know, comedian Vicki Lawrence being the only reason it exists in the American zeitgeist, which
That's
is just
interesting.
that's so crazy to me.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Hey,
I'm probably
country
gonna
music
read
and
it.
wrestling.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, comedy and wrestling. It's all there,
Yeah.
man.
It's all there.
Yeah, man.
It's all
All
the
there.
same.
It's our culture too, Shar. What do you think about it?
Number one.
All right, appreciate everybody. I'm gonna let
All
everyone
right.
go.
See
All
y'all
right.
later.
Supper's waiting.
See
I
you
gotta
later.
get to it.
You get your supper, boy.
Bubba Shout the podcast, and that's right. A show about country at its height. Don't expect no shit from 2,000